You know, one category that I have spoken to a couple people about, but I know that you at one point in your life were you were very involved in sort of the real estate space. I've got friends that some are realtors, and I I can almost if I think of the content that they put out, it's good stuff, but it's always like, here's this latest listing that I just sold. It's all there, and the loan officers, or the brokers that they tend to put out these educational type videos, but it's like behind this very corporate-y sort of cubicle desk, and
I'm bored already, right?
yeah, exactly. So, I mean, I think that category is something that could really use a very friendly and, authentic sort of communication, because there's always people coming into that category that know nothing about it. Like, how many times do you buy a home, right? And so it's just such a great way to communicate and educate in a very flexible and
Yeah.
actually authentic way.
Well, 100%. And I would say too, with respect to the real estate broker, type person who may want to be like, they look at a studio like this and what am I going to do in there, right? Because they see their counterparts doing all the, gimbal videos, right? Look, walking around a house and that type of stuff. And this could be a way to stand out in a different way amongst that sea of other people that are doing the same type of content. Have a conversation where you're able, as a real estate professional, to demonstrate your value through that conversation, because that's what marketing from a real estate perspective is all about. Your services is what value do you bring to the equation that maybe somebody else doesn't, and it could be better served again through conversation than a flyer that comes in your mailbox, because there are real estate people that still do that, and
Yep.
it ends up in the trash, right? So it ends up wasted time and money when you could pay for a professional setting that actually gives you some authority, gravitas, whatever you want to call it, and maybe some street cred, and you're talking to somebody, maybe it's a lone person, maybe it's just a prospective buyer who doesn't know what they don't know, and you're kind of walking them through the process, and somebody seeing that is like, I like Rob, I want to call him up now, right?
Right.
So again, I think there's such power in that conversation.
There is, and I think one thing that people overlook is that this content is evergreen. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I know that if I like a message like from an influencer, I will oftentimes go back into the profile if I find it's somebody that's interesting or that is saying something of value, that I can go back to that. And this is sort of that evergreen content that just stays up on that profile page. That can be a reference for their customers that I think lasts a whole long time, as opposed to getting a magnet get in the mail and then that goes into the trash. I think they still do that, don't they?
Oh, yes, they do that. They do like here in Seattle, it's the Seahawks football schedule. I mean, anything
Yeah,
that they can put their
yeah,
name
yeah,
and number
yeah,
on, they're going to
yeah.
throw that in an envelope and send it to you. And it's wicked expensive, right?
It,
So,
Hotchkiss World, it's going to get more expensive here soon, I think.
then there's that. Yes.
Yeah.
But I do think, though, from, as business owners like we are, where we own studios, we have to kind of teach them how to fish. And I'm speaking specifically about real estate brokers, because they come in here, they're like, oh, this looks pretty, this is great. And then they have literally no idea what to do. The idea of getting on camera and talking about something or having a conversation, they don't even know where to start. So I'm starting to put together like a one pager just of thought starters, right? To get them, okay, sit down, let's plan this out with you, right? Kind of hold their hand a little bit. And then I think once they get going, because these are not shy people, right?
Yeah,
And
no,
they
it's going
have
to
a
be
great conversation.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, it's that fear. Like, as soon as they see that little red light come on, or when you say, all right, 3, 2, 1, we're recording,
Right.
it's they kind of go into freak out mode. But it's definitely something that can be very easily overcome. I have found with people that are brand new to sitting in front of a camera, just
Mhm.
engaging in an actual conversation. Oh, like at some point, a minute into it, you're like, oh wait, I'm just talking to the person on the other side of the camera there, and we're just having a conversation.
But I think that also helps break the fourth wall, right? So then the viewer who's kind of watching from afar this conversation feels a little bit drawn into that conversation, and again, it builds trust, it builds authority, all that stuff. And I think that's just a gold mine there, in my opinion.
Agree.
This video was recorded and produced by Just Talk Studios, the premier video podcasting studio in Bellevue, Washington. Visit justtalkstudios.com to learn more and book your session today.